What's going on there, guys and girls out there in LS Swap JK land? Have a quick list I drafted up on the board behind me in regards to the most common LS swaps in the JK and kind of the path with each one to make it the simplest and I guess direct swap, if you would, in regards to mating to T cases and things of that nature, and output speed shaft sensors and VSS sensors, and what do I need to do here and there, what works best. I've got this, I've got that, what can I do? So I just put a few combos up on the board real quick, and we'll go over those and the pros and cons of each one. All right, let's get it turned around and get to looking at the list. All right, here's the board. So Gen 3, Gen 4, a couple of Gen 4s. Gen 3, I'm not really touching on the drive-by cable stuff because the drive-by cable is the same as the drive-by wire. It's just the drive-by cable is more of a pain in the butt because of cable routing, pedal mounting, and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, if you can go drive-by wire, that's the way to go. What I'm going at for this is what is the simplest, most direct swap, the least amount of headaches into a JK with an LS. So for me, on a Gen 3, so a Gen 3 drive-by-wires, so anything 03 to 07, 02 might be funky, but you know what a drive-by-wire is, 485360, this is going to be the simplest. It had a 4L60E behind it, which is the most common combination you're going to get out of a Chevy truck, is a Gen 3 V8 LS with a 4L60E in a 4x4. Now, a 241C from mid-90s Chevy 1500 pickup truck with originally equipped with a 4L60 and that 241C will directly bolt to your 4L60E. This is a direct bolt for a GM transfer case, direct bolt. The 241C needs a slip yoke eliminator kit from JB Conversions. Get it from us or JB, doesn't really matter. You give a slip yoke eliminator kit, which also has the output VSS in the tail shaft, is the most simplest combination to use in a JK LS swap. Drive-by-wire LS, 4L60E, LS 4L60E, 99 and newer, 4L60E, which is what you're gonna get without a question if you're going with the drive-by-wire LS. 241C from a 90s K1500 series floor shift transfer case truck. 241C. Slip yoke eliminator kit, JB Conversions. You get a stock output speed sensor from, I don't remember if JB doesn't come. Stock output speed sensor from there, and you're good to go. The 241C, if you're looking for one, you want to find one that has yokes on the front and the rear. Well, the rear is a slip yoke. The front yoke, you want to find one with a yoke on it, not the cone. The short yoke is the one to get. It's easiest to get the adapter yoke to go to a 1310 or 1350 double cardan joint. So yokes on a 241C, look for a front standard yoke. 4L80, again, this is starting at the simplest. 4L80, 241C from a originally equipped 4L80 truck, late 90s, 241C manual floor shift transfer case. This will directly bolt to the 4L80. This is a 32 spline, this is a 32 spline. If you end up getting a transfer case from a 4L80, it will not bolt to your 4L60, 27, 32. Different spline counts between the 4L80s and the 4L60s. Again, same applies. You get a transfer case out of a 4L80 equipped truck, bolts directly to your 4L80 from your drive-by-wire series LS. Same slip yoke eliminator kit, same things apply. Your 4L80 is most likely going to come out of a four-wheel drive truck, so it's only going to have one speed sensor on it. The front input speed shaft sensor on the 4L80. It needs the output speed sensor as well on that 4L80. So you get that. All right, so those are the two simplest, most direct driveline configurations to keep your LS swap simple and moving forward. Let's see here, cost-wise, let's touch on that real quick. 241C transfer case, anywhere from $50 to $250 depending on your area and how long you search for it. I picked them up for $50. I've also spent $250 on them. All depends on availability, timing, and all that kind of good stuff. The SYE kit, you figure $500 by the time you pick your parts and the ride. $500 for your SYE kit. And your SYE kit goes into your transfer case, so you can just bench swap that kit in there. You don't have to send it off. It's very simple. You can do it at home. If you're taking on this project, then you can do an SYE kit in a transfer case. And disassembling the transfer case, you can do at home on the bench versus some of the other swaps where you have to send your transmission out to have it completely torn down to change a simple output shaft. So SYE kit, about $500 with your front yoke, couple hours on the bench, and you're bolted up and going. That'll move you to 1310 or 1350 series yokes on your transfer case, and then you'll have to get new drive shafts. But that is what that is. You're gonna want to upgrade your drive shafts anyways, just due to your changing your torque and your horsepower, other than your 3.8 or your 3.6. Again, the Gen 3 setup, this applies to a 07 to 18. I don't care if this is standalone, so I don't care about anything else. This is standalone concept, standalone installs. Gen 3, 4L60, 4L80, 241Cs, you're off and running. We have a bracket for the 241C to run your stock shifter cable. In those Jeeps, I just run a Trailblazer shifter and cable to control my 4L60 or 4L80. 4L60 brackets, I have those in the work. I'm dealing in the beta stages, testing them right now. So trying to get the placement just right and or add adjustability in. Again, we have a 241C bracket. This right here will make your life even simpler. You get an 06 tack module and pedal. It works with our pedal bracket. And then the 06 tack module talks to these and gives you a plastic pedal instead of dealing with the big metal pedal and whatnot, which we originally been using for the last couple of years, but this simplifies it as long as you get an 06 tack and pedal. You can usually get these kits on eBay for like $100 to $110 from most sellers. Give you a new tack, the 06, 07 tack module, and a pedal, and the harness from the tack to the pedal. I think the last one paid $109 for. All right, so, oh yeah, let's hit on these. All right, now to get into the more complicated conversions, driveline conversions, just with your Gen 3 stuff. So if you decide that you want to keep your stock 241J transfer case and you don't want to find a 241C case, we're going to 4L60. You're going to need an adapter kit from either Advanced Adapters or Novak. Make sure you pick the right one. There's a couple different versions, and one of the kits from Advanced Adapters has like a 5-inch riser on it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You definitely don't want that because it'll put your transfer case into the bottom of your tub. So make sure you get the right kit from either one of these. So these kits from either Advanced or Novak are going to require you to tear down the transmission. On top of that, if you've got a 12 or newer automatic, it's going to require you to get a 7 to 11 transfer case or a 12 and newer manual case. They do not work with the 12 kit, the 12 and newer auto transfer cases with the exterior splined transfer case gear. So 4L60, the kit, you have to pick one. Again, require you to tear down your transmission yourself and or take your transmission to a transmission shop to tear it down to replace the output shaft. Once you take your trans to a trans shop, there's no questions that you are going to be told that your trans needs to be rebuilt. So prepare for another $1,000+ bill on that, just to have that adapter put in there. So if your trans needs to be rebuilt, then so be it. You can go this way. You can go to, with the adapter kit, trans rebuilt, and then you can mate it to your 241J and move on from there. These kits will have a VSS in between the transmission and the transfer case, because your GM's going to need that rear VSS that the JK case does not have. Same thing goes for the 4L80s. 4L80s are a couple different animals on this one, right from rip I can tell you about, because the 4L80s have two different output. Well, the 4L80s don't have. The 4L80s have a 32 spline output shaft on them stock. Again, you'll need an advanced adapters kit or a Novak kit if you want to go to the 241J. If you are going to go from a 32 spline 4L80 to a 23 spline output shaft, it requires tearing down the transmission, and then you can bolt your JK case to it. If you go from a 32 and you want to just do a 32 spline on your transfer case, then you can just tear down your transfer case, change your input gears to a 32 spline, and move from there. These applications are pretty much non-Rubicon. Just call it what it is, non-Rubicon. 23 spline, you might be able to get that Rubicon transfer case to bolt up to it, no problem, because it's the same spline and the adapter will be the same thing. You just have to confirm fitment in your particular vehicle on that one. So again, the 4L80s have a couple different variances, either 32 to 23 or 32 to 32. Tear down the trans or tear down the transfer case. Either way. And those are going to keep your stock 241Js. And then again, you can keep your stock axle shafts potentially, but I'm going to bet you're not, just based on the length and application. It's going to change. The 4L80 is longer than the 4L60. So we have adapter plates for the 4L80, the 4L60, for putting those transmissions in your conversion. Moving down the list, we're going into Gen 4. Gen 4 is pretty much 07 and newer. And we're going to touch on the 4.8s and the 5.3s because it was common up to about 2010, I think it is. 4.8s and 5.3s could be found with the 4L60s behind them then still, but they are 58 time reluctor. They've got the small ECU, and then they're going to have an external T41 TCM. So the ECU talks to the TCM, and then that controls the 4L60. So with those, same applies as the Gen 3 stuff. You can get a 241C out of a 241, 4L60s equipped 241C, late 90s truck, SYE kit, and you're off and running again. Gen 4 with TCM, 4L60, same as the first setup, 241C, subfuel eliminator kit, and you're moving forward. That's that one. Getting into a Gen 4, complete, meaning like a 09 and newer, so without a question, like 50-50, 08, 09 to about 2014, 4.8s, 5.3s, and 6.0s. These are all going to be found with either 6L80 or 6L90 behind them. These are pretty straightforward transmissions. These are pretty much straightforward conversions, right? Pretty simple. They just require a few pieces, but as far as mechanically, pretty straightforward. The 6L80, you get a Novak kit. If you get it from them directly, you have to modify a few things. If you get it from us or some of the other companies, they'll come with it, new brackets already for it to work correctly in the JK. But again, Novak kit with brackets, your 241J, you're done. It's that simple as far as getting the driveline configured. Gen 4, 4.8, 5.360, 6L80, 6L90, Novak kit with our brackets, 241J transfer case, and you're going. You can rework your stockers, or you can upgrade your 241 to slip yoke, or not slip yoke, but aftermarket double cardan shafts and things of that nature. Running a 6L80, doesn't matter what year it is. It doesn't matter what year your Jeep is, 07 to 18, doesn't matter. If you're, again, these are standalone systems. None of this is CAN bus stuff. This is all standalone. You'll need a reverse NSS, a reverse and neutral safety kit from us or one of the suppliers that makes them. $420 for that. They run about $420. And these are CAN bus modules that will pull reverse signal and neutral safety signal from the CAN bus circuits and give us an output so we can run it to relays and do what we need to do. We can actually operate the reverse lights and the neutral safety system from the shifter. If you want to know what range your 6L80 is, if you're doing tap shift or whatever, you need a range display. Those gauges are usually about $200. On the 7 to 11 or the 12 to 18, you can use a stock shifter cable on your Jk for an automatic. You just need a shifter bracket for it, and again, your stock shifter cable. And then we have a 4-wheel drive bracket that'll work with this combo as well. So this Gen 4 5360 6L80 and Novak kit, your 241J, that's your mechanical drive line. Again, you'll need to tack on another couple $100 for a reverse and neutral safety kit, a gauge display, and shift bracket. With the 6L80 as well, you can get tap shift to function. You just have to have your 6L80 tuned with a different tune that allows for tap shift, and then you'll need our tap shift or someone's, doesn't matter, but of course this is my video, so I'm going to promote my stuff. You'll need a tap shift kit from myself or somebody else to access and activate your tap shift system on the 6L80. So, and again, I didn't say it, all these systems are based on using stock ECUs. I'm not talking about Haltex displays. I'm not talking about Holley terminators and all that kind of stuff. This is all stuff that simple, direct conversions, keeping the dollars down, reusing stock ECUs with defeated VAT systems, security systems, whatever you want to call them. I have bracket trays for the Gen 3 brick ECUs, and then I've got brackets for the Gen 4 smaller E38 series style ECUs. They'll bolt in. I don't double up on my builds, meaning I don't run the Jk ECUs and the LS ECUs. I run one ECU, and then I do standalone gauges with one of our gauge panels, be it either a 4-gauge dash or a digital dash. Again, with these, unless you're got some giant cam and you're turboing it, or you're gonna supercharge it, or you're doing something funky, you don't need a terminator to run the system. You don't. Stock ECUs work just fine in those applications. Again, unless you're going big power adders or doing something really stupid, going to a terminator or somebody else is not needed. If you want to go to aftermarket ECU, you can go to something simple like an Aces kit. They're half the cost of a terminator and pretty reliable, especially on a simple LS program like this. Pretty straightforward, easy to tune. They're just a simple step up before you have to. If you're fully committing to a terminator, you can check them out. A full Gen 3, Gen 4 application with a 4L60 or 4L80 trans from Aces, I think it's like maybe $1,000, if that, $950. Now, unless you catch it on sale, a little cheaper. But yeah, so $600-700 cheaper than most Terminator kits out there. Just another alternative for you. But again, this setup is based on reusing your stock donor ECU, just turning VATs off and shrinking down the harness to the stuff that you actually need and go from there. So that's pretty much it. These are your basic, most common swaps with some of the simplest, I guess, combinations on there. And let's go ahead and turn this thing around and we'll finish off this video and get you guys on the way. All right, like I said, these are some of the simplest, most direct combos to use in the LS standalone swap into your 07 to 18 Jk. Again, Gen 3, 4L60, 241C, pretty much drop in and go with a couple hours on the bench to do the transfer case, input gear shaft change, and no, sorry, you're not changing input gear, you're changing the SYE, so you're changing the outputs. So yeah, Gen 3, 4L60, 241C with a SYE kit, boom, done. Run it with a stock ECU. We've got all the brackets to make it fit. You've got drop-in motor mounts. You have a bolt-in transmission cross-member plate. I mean, it's pretty simple. And they just kind of move up and down the road from there as far as simplicity to more involved with just parts acquisition until, again, you get to the Gen 4 5360 kit. Got a little close there. Woo, woo. Anyways, that's weird. Maybe I should get a stand. But yeah, so you get it. Pick a driveline. It really doesn't matter what driveline you get. If you have one, there's a combination to make it work. If you don't have one, determine what you want to do, which direction you want to go, and kind of follow the plan. Again, it doesn't much matter. These are, again, Gen 3, Gen 4, standalone swaps going into a JK. And to hit on the one question I get asked, and the one concern is, if you do a standalone JK swap with an LS, can you still have AC? Yes, you can. Can you still have cruise? In most cases, yes, you can, especially Gen 3s are easier than Gen 4s to have cruise. All my windows going to work, my locks going to work? Yes, if you follow the program that we have and what we found to work, yes, all that stuff will keep it, i.e. burying the cluster. You have to keep the cluster. So there are certain things to do to get the results that you want. You just have to follow the program. So, and with that being said, this is Jim from Drag Tech signing off. We appreciate the support, especially in the changeover here. And if you need anything, give me a call. I'll give you an honest answer at the bare minimum. Even if you don't buy your stuff from me, you get an honest answer. So, all right, guys, let's get out there. Let's get back to building some LS Jeeps and putting more smiles per mile on your gauge, at your face. All right, guys, take care.